Thank you for staying with us here on Nile Oracle. Time now to introduce you to His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you.
Pleasure is always mine. Thank you for having me on this new Nile Oracle episode.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. So whatever happened to the Memorandum of Understanding?
Well, actually, it's full of controversy right now. I mean, you cannot really see who is to be blamed for the current situation we're in. Is it Iran because it insists on the Strait of Hormuz be under its own control, and even thinking of imposing fees to the ships that are planning to pass there? Or is it the United States that felt that it was, like, if I may use the word, cheated on the MOU? Because I think we have all seen that inside the United States, lots of criticism to President Trump for accepting the deal that is undermining the power of the United States. And actually, many observers have mentioned that Iran came out not just victorious, but I think more influential in the region, and that Iran now has to be considered as a very important player in the Middle East. And this is something that the United States did not intend or was expecting as a result of the MOU. So the United States once again wants to prove that it did not lose the momentum. It still can have the initiative and insist on its terms, and that it maintained the superiority when it comes to military option. But here, let me say something. There is a very relative issue here. And it dragged my attention that we have around 150 raids from the United States on Iran that led to the death of, mind the number, 17 persons, and the injury of 115, which 100 of them left already the hospitals after minor injuries. This exact number, 17 killed in 1 week of American raids on Iran, is what we can see on daily basis in the occupied territory, but nevertheless nobody's talking about it, as if this is business as usual. Although life should be the same.
Absolutely, Mr. Ambassador.
But we are talking about
very important point. The same thing, by the way, came across my mind. Daily basis now.
Exactly.
After the Sharm el-Sheikh ceasefire deal.
Exactly.
But before the Sharm el-Sheikh ceasefire deal, that was like 5 times a day.
Of course.
17, 5
I'm talking
times
about
a day.
after signing an agreement, that President Trump himself was the guarantor of this agreement. But nevertheless, Israel does not care about anything. We have to all agree on this, that unless we are really talking sanctions, we are really talking embargo, we're really talking economic pressure on Israel, Israel will never abide by any international law or any even international agreement that were signed. And actually, I think one of the most important elements that we are seeing right now is that Israel is behind everything that we are seeing in the Middle East, simply because Prime Minister Netanyahu knows for sure that if this accord goes through, and that we are going to have peace according to the MOU signed between the United States and Iran, this would simply mean the end of his political career, because he lost everything by this agreement, and accordingly he has to prove that he is still in power. How is that? Is by sabotaging this. And this
Mr. Ambassador, you're sabotaging all of my questions.
Do I? I'm sorry.
I mean, you are just answering everything that I want to pose.
Because actually it's quite obvious.
Joking.
No, I understand, of course. But it's so obvious that Israel is the only player of all the players that is losing out of this agreement. Even including the Arab states, the Gulf states, they don't want to have a war. And we've seen the result. I mean, Iran attacked already 4 of them, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, even Oman. Oman that is their partner in managing the Hormuz Strait.
And even Qatar, which is an important mediator.
Which means that Iran is not thinking, or at least wants to
Pressure the Americans.
No. It wants to give a certain image that it does not care about the peaceful and the negotiations that's supposed to take place, which actually put extra pressure on the United States.
It must, of course, care about its future relations with the Arab Gulf countries, and many analysts believe that they do. But they are doing this because they're using it, those same experts say, as a card against the Americans and trying to cause a rift between the Americans and the Arab
You took the word out of my mouth. Exactly. This is the only card that they play, and they know that it's going to be hurtful and that is going to give them the result they want. Even after these raids and these missiles that hit 5 Arab countries, including Jordan, by the way.
Yes.
And all these countries are still asking President Trump to ease it because they know the price of an open war. They cannot afford the price of this war. That's why even those countries who have been hit are not asking President Trump to revenge them. On the contrary, they're asking, please, let's cool it off because we cannot sustain such thing. The economy is already fragile in this area since the war, and now it's going to become more fragile. Already the price of the petrol
oil rebounded again.
Because nobody knows how long. But give it another couple of weeks in this, and it's going to reach the same level it reached the first time. And this is not in anyone's interest. The idea, in short, is that the United States cannot impose by force, by military, it cannot break the Iranian will, and Iran also, on the other hand, cannot continue this way because of the economic problem. We are already hearing that there are some uncontent among the people and some unrest among the population, and that we might see some diversion from the line that has always been there around the leadership of Iran. So Iran also, with the economic problem, cannot sustain a long war. But it's I don't know, we have a saying in Arabic, we say that this is a war of breaking bones. So, I mean, it's not a simple thing, although both of them, and this is a very important point, both of them are trying to control this so that it wouldn't go into an open war. They both don't want an open war, but each one of them wants to make a point. The United States wants to show that it has a strong military and that it can inflict a lot of damage and harm to the Iranian economy and infrastructure, and Iran, by its persistence and its solidarity, wants to prove that it can defend this country and the regime can still be in power, although all this pressure from the United States Army.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, you see, you mentioned many important points. One of them was the Israel role. Before I pose a question here about Israel, I just wanted to highlight something, that they have had a contribution in the World Cup. And Israel's contribution in the World Cup was killing those aid organizers and those who were watching, who were having a party watching football matches during the World Cup. So that was Israel's expected contribution, because they kill, indiscriminately. And as you mentioned...
Just a second, I need to say something here. It's not a surprise. Israel is the only country in the world who does not abide by any international law regulations or international humanitarian law, and it still debate this by saying it's self-defense. And unfortunately, since the United States is not doing anything about it, they will continue to do so. So, I mean, we should not keep on saying how and why Israel is doing so. Simply, it's doing this because it's allowed, it's being allowed to do this. And if you want to stop it, you can stop it. But it's not, I mean, we can propose, we can suggest, but the only country who can do that is the United States, and the only person who can really do that is President Donald Trump. No one else can pressure Israel into abiding by the international law and to respect the signature of the United States President on an agreement. We did not finish phase 1 of the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement until today.
Yes.
And Israel does not want to finish it. I mean, where are the humanitarian aid that is entering? Where are the hospitals that are working? Where are the opening the borders so that people can come in and help? All this was...
And it has expanded the areas it occupies in Gaza.
We are talking about 60%.
Yeah, instead of withdrawing.
Exactly, and that's why it doesn't want to move to phase 2. And if you remember, right on this show, and like 3-4 months ago, before the signing of the Sharm el-Sheikh Accord, I told you that we are going to see the real face of Israel once it received the last one of its prisoners. That's the real Israel that we are going to see. And here we are.
I remember that, but that was a year ago.
Well,
yeah, because of course Sharm el-Sheikh was in October,
yes.
The deal. So whatever happened to the Trump strong words vis-a-vis Netanyahu? I mean, enough is enough, and you should not go knocking down buildings in Beirut. You're not grateful enough. You're going to ruin this, and what the hell is he doing? And he's crazy and stuff like that. I mean, even
further, the private.
Yeah, we can't even. We saw reports about language, inappropriate language used.
Not just that. I mean, even if we're talking about diplomatic language, what did the vice president say personally? Yeah. You cannot bomb your way out of each problem in the area.
So whatever happened to these statements then, and Israel's involvement here, I mean, are there reports about that Israel is the one behind, the Israeli intelligence is the one that is behind the so-called assassination plots to targeting Mr. Trump? Is this part of the story?
Well, anything is possible. I mean, with Israel, we've seen a lot of conspiracies that we've seen them right before our eyes, and later on, the truth turned to be out exactly what we thought a conspiracy before. So this is not far from Israel's way of thinking, and I won't be surprised.
So they could be making up stories.
But
about
I want to see the larger picture here. The larger picture that we are seeing a diversion that is becoming very clear between the public opinion in the United States and the administration of the United States. And why is that? Because while the public opinion were never bought, and while the public opinion was always looking in a fair way to everything in front of them, and they were the one who deducted that Israel is conducting a genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza, for instance, the administration that many of them, according to American sources, were bought either by AIPAC or by other Jewish lobbies in the United States, continue to play their role. And that's why we see that those who are not tainted by the AIPAC money can see the truth and can say the truth, while the administration is still binded by the agreements that they had when they accepted to be elected based on the Jewish money that were, I mean, we've seen recently, they spent up to $30 million for one senator not to be elected simply because he's against the Israeli policy. They spent up to $30 million to have his adversary win the election.
But is Trump fed up with Netanyahu? Is he fed up?
But to which degree? Yes, he is fed up. But to which degree? To the degree that he is, I mean, the way we see it is that this is a personal problem between Trump and Netanyahu. But it's not a problem between the United States administration and Israel as a government. No.
The U.S. has asked Israel not to be involved in any attacks that are ongoing at the moment. Should we consider this a good sign that Israel will not indeed be involved?
What do you mean by that? I mean, we have to define.
Against Iran.
When Israel will continue its bombardment on South Lebanon, what is this called? Because Iran have explained that any of its allies is going to be bombarded, they are going to answer accordingly. And they were very clear. They said that one of the most important points that are written in the MOU is that the war will stop on all fronts. But always Israel say, no, Lebanon is not part of this. And they just hit the Houthi as well. very recently. So, I mean, Israel do not consider itself part of this. And that's why it continues.
The question that always comes to mind.
President Donald Trump and the
exactly.
American administration are the only one who can convince Israel to respect this.
So when Mr. Trump tells the Israeli war crime suspect prime minister, don't knock down buildings in Beirut, is he really serious about it? Or is he, is this just for, for the media, for public opinion, but under the table, there are hidden agreements? This is the question that always crosses our minds here in the region.
In clear words, President Trump is the best friend of Israel since after the Second World War. And President Trump is the only one who allowed Israel to do its dream that every other president has pursued, which is to hit and to bombard Iran and to raid Iran. And President Trump is the only president who is proud to be called a Zionist. This we haven't seen with any other president. So I don't think that President Trump is ready to put the real pressure, not to mention if Israel is pressuring him, how? I mean, there are a lot of pressure and a lot of talk about how Israel, not just Epstein file, but there are things, I mean, in history, embedded in history between President Trump and Netanyahu, that only both of them know about it. And that's why the relationship between the two leaders is a little bit odd than the other thing. I mean, they can permit themselves, as you mentioned, to use those disgraceful words and still manage to continue the relationship and still defend Israel. The idea, in short, is that when President Trump interest personally as president or as Republican Party are threatened in a serious way, that's when he is going to draw the line for Israel. This is the only thing that is going to hurt him.
They are threatened,
inside.
aren't they?
I'm sorry?
They are threatened at the moment, aren't they? I mean,
they are, but not to that point. But still, I mean, the more we are approaching the elections, the more that President Trump is going to panic. Why do I say panic? Because he cannot, I mean, President Trump is a kind of leader.
He cannot afford to lose the congressional election.
Not just that, he is not the kind who likes to very much to abide by the rules. He likes to
He said it himself.
Well, yes, and he likes to play the game according to his convictions. And if the Democrats are going to win the elections, that will not permit him to enjoy the freedom that he's having right now by doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, of course, because Mr. Trump has his own charter,
exactly.
his own...
And that's why, I mean, you should be careful. Israel should be careful that if you are going to put too much pressure on President Trump, he's going to lose the elections as a Republican Party, and accordingly he won't be able to help you again. But at the end, we have to remember what we've seen in the last 3 years. Israel does not mind losing everybody, provided that it does what it wants to do. And that's what we've seen. I mean, Israel lost all compassion from all over the world. And nevertheless, they are continuing with their genocidal war against the Palestinians, seizing lands, continuing the war in Lebanon, seizing also lands. And by the way, there is a very important thing regarding Lebanon here. And I think I have said this, but I need to repeat it once again, that Hezbollah is becoming more profitable to Israel than it is to the Lebanese people. Simply because a weak Hezbollah is exactly what Israel is dreaming of. And this is the current situation. There is Hezbollah, so we have to raid more. So we have to seize more land to secure North Israel. So we have to do this. So we have to control. So we have to attack. This is what Israel wants. But Hezbollah is not doing anything. Nevertheless, but it's still there. So a weak Hezbollah, as it is right now, is more profitable to Israel than it is to the Lebanese people.
Very interesting point, Mr. Ambassador. So we've talked a lot about Israel, but we ought to. And I have one more question before we go back again to the... Of course, Israel is involved in everything, but I just wanted to ask you, what do you think these developments, how these developments will affect the political future of the Israeli war crime suspect prime minister? I mean, is he now losing it? I mean, is he now probably going to lose the elections in October, or what?
I think what Prime Minister Netanyahu is thinking about right now is how to put more pressure on President Trump so that this high-scale confrontations with Iran would turn to be an open war. This is exactly what he wants, and this is what he said at the beginning when he criticized and when he attacked President Trump by saying, "You threw us under the bus." This is exactly his exact words, that you threw Israel under the bus when you signed the MOU without consulting with us first. And
did he say that publicly?
Yes. There is a press release that says that he...
Publicly?
Yes. That
must have angered Mr. Trump.
Well, angered him, and at the same time he understands that, well, first of all, he couldn't have done better, or he would have done it. He understood that he cannot keep the price of the petrol going up because he is losing his popularity inside the United States because all the prices are going up. And this means losing elections. And this means losing support from the public. And actually he is. So he cannot afford losing all that. So he had to stop at a certain point and sign the agreement. And he signed the agreement that all observers have seen this as a victory to Iran because all the major points that Iran always spoke about, which is the enrichment of uranium, that it's not been dealt with, at least at this phase. Second of all, that it maintained control over the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, even he signed an agreement saying that it's only for 60 days that we are not going to collect any fees, any logistic fees for the ships to pass.
The blockade was lifted, the naval blockade was lifted.
Most importantly, 2 points. The first one, that it did not mention anything about
the nuclear...
No, the support to its allies. On the contrary, that it said that the United States and Iran both are responsible for their allies, which is, a recognition from the United States that Hezbollah and the Houthi and others are the aids of the aid of Iran. And the second point, the first one we said it's the aid, and the second one is the missile. The missile.
Yeah, the ballistic missile thing was always going to be left out.
Yes, but this is a victory still for Iran because this was because this is the only weapon that Iran has.
But Mr. Ambassador, okay, we understand, but Iran has been, hit very hard. It has lost 10, 15, 20 years. It has lost a lot.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Not just that.
So, yeah.
The last war, we are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in damage for its infrastructure, for its...
Something like 300, that's the estimate.
Military facilities and even civilian facilities. But Iran does not show this. Actually, on the contrary, it shows that it's still there, it's still standing up, and it's still able to stand neck to neck with the American administration, President Trump. So Iran is capable, although all these damages, it's still capable to be standing up, and not just that, the regime is still in power, which is something that nobody predicted. That's why at the beginning of the war, they took Ali Khamenei. They assassinated Ali Khamenei, the supreme guy for Iran, simply because they thought that once they take Ali Khamenei, the people are going to raise, and then they will be...
That was what Israel told the Americans.
And the United States believed that, although that the intelligence in the United States said...
So why would the Americans now believe the Israeli intelligence that talks about an assassination plot against Mr. Trump run by the
We don't
Iranians?
have proof that Israel is behind it. On the contrary...
There are reports.
There are reports about this, but there are other reports that saying that Iran is conducting this plot. And I don't believe that any is conducting this plot. It's just a rumor that has been spread, but I don't think there is any plot, serious plot, with preparation and everything to assassinate President Trump. Nobody is so stupid to do this. Although Muqtada Khamenei have said it, that we are going to revenge his father, Ali Khamenei, about the assassination, because at the end of the you assassinate the supreme guide of the Iranian revolution, which is Ali Khamenei, and they will be consequences. Don't expect this to go unnoticed. Okay, we managed to...
Yeah, there is that religious element. He's revered, he's seen as something sacred, and so, yeah, we understand the religious element behind it.
So there is a lot of elements, but the idea is that who is going to be standing up after a week or 2 or 3? We cannot continue like that. The whole world is against this war.
Sure.
And there is pressure everywhere, whether we are talking about the Gulf countries that are being hit, whether we are talking about Iran, that its economy is failing more and more, and there are beginning of demonstrations against the regime.
The risk will be there. Yeah, the risk will be there.
Whether we are talking about the United States, and there is more and more voices saying that this is Israel war, it's not our war, we should stop it. So there is pressure on every and each one of these people, except Israel. That is only pressure that this war is not going on.
You're right. I mean, yeah, exactly.
The pressure is the opposite. It's not to stop the war, but to continue the war. You have to continue the war. That's why it's the only one that its interest is to continue this war and to push it forward. And that's what they are trying to do. And they said it from the beginning, that this war should not stop before we achieve our goals.
So you feel that there is a perception within America that Mr. Trump was not strong enough now on Iran? I mean, the perception is that he got tricked or something?
No, the perception is that he wanted so bad to sign this deal so that he can reopen the Strait of Hormuz and say that I have stopped another war, and although he started it, but anyway, I stopped another war and I am the peace guarantor of the world. This is the 11th war that I am stopping, and give me the Nobel Peace Prize and so on. So he wanted to sign badly. That's why he accepted the conditions imposed by Iran. Most of the conditions there were the one imposed by Iran. And then...
Really? I mean, the perception, I guess, within Iran, and nobody really knows.
I'm talking about until the day we signed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not after that, because after that things changed.
But within Iran you will hear people saying, I'm certain, that it is Iran that conceded.
In which way?
In some points.
Conceded in what? Actually, there is no point that I can see that there is a concession. I mean, Iran will control the Strait of Hormuz.
Regarding the nuclear
Iran is going to be, and it is becoming now, an influential player in the Middle East more than it was before the war. That's for sure.
Iran has always been influential.
And no, but now it's even more official by the adoption of the United States of this document.
And Mr. Ambassador, I mean, wouldn't you agree? We have another report that we will watch here. But wouldn't you agree that Iran, that has always been influential, will always also be influential? I mean, regardless of what happens, this is a big country, huge country. It has so many credentials, so many tools. It's a powerful country.
I totally agree, but there is one element that you overlooked, which is that after this agreement that it managed to make President Trump sign it, it's becoming more influential.
Okay.
He recognized that Iran has a certain influence on the Strait of Hormuz. He recognized...
Maybe he wants to share this influence.
Well, this is a long shot.
Yeah. He said it before, remember?
Yes, but the idea is that you cannot, I mean, we need years and years of confidence.
Maybe if he gets favoritism to American ships, he will...
The Iranians did not forget their vengeance, and they have been hurt very bad. I mean, even now, because of the world media and the international media, I mean, who is talking now? And this is a very important thing. Sometimes I feel it's so strange that nobody is talking about it with the weight it should be talked about. The school that were bombarded at the beginning, killing 175 little girls of 7, 8 years old. Right. And nobody is talking about it. It's just a collection.
The best thing the Iranian football team did at the World Cup, since we were speaking World Cup, is take pictures of the girls with them there and at the World Cup. Of course, that was tragic. That was tragic.
We shouldn't forget about the people that are killed.
And they should be held accountable, whoever was behind that. And whoever also killed the 70,000 plus Palestinian civilians, mostly women and children. Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, we'll watch a report now, again, about the reciprocal attacks between the Americans and the Iranians in this period, and we'll come back and continue our discussion. And And the next question will be, Mr. Ambassador, and we want to get our dear viewers here involved with us. As much as both sides want this to end, you know, they must be hurting, both sides. I'm talking about the Americans and the Iranians, and as much as they are fed up. The Iranians have lost a lot. The Americans have lost at least hegemony, image, whatever, inflation, whatever, relationships with the Arab Gulf countries. I mean, you're the expert, you will tell us. There were losses for both. And they are both fed up, and they both want this to end. But there is this machoism, there's this ego that each side wants to portray itself as the winner, be it Mr. Trump or Mr. Mujtaba Khamenei or whoever is ruling really in Iran at the moment. So that will be the next question.
Sure.
Which will win? What? I mean, there must be a winner here between the machoism and the ego, and between reality yeah. Okay, let's watch this report, and we'll be back with His Excellency Ambassador Meligy right after this report. Please stay with us.
As when Washington and Tehran signed the preliminary Memorandum of Understanding in June 2026, many believed that the Middle East had entered a new phase of de-escalation. The agreement was designed as a temporary framework to halt the military operations, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, restore freedom of navigation, begin technical negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Initially, the agreement produced encouraging signs. Commercial shipping gradually resumed through the Strait of Hormuz. Global oil prices stabilized and diplomatic contacts expanded through the regional mediators, particularly Oman, Qatar, and Pakistan. Washington also indicated its willingness to discuss limited sanctions relief if Tehran fulfilled its commitments, while Iran viewed the agreement as an opportunity to ease economic pressure and reduce the risk of direct confrontation. However, the optimism proved short-lived. Within weeks, commercial vessels operating in and around the Strait of Hormuz came under renewed attack, creating fresh uncertainty over one of the world's most strategic maritime routes. The incidents immediately reignited fears that the ceasefire was collapsing and once again threatened global energy supplies. The United States accused Iran of failing to guarantee the security of international shipping and demanded a public commitment that the Strait of Hormuz would remain permanently open. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance warned that any attempt to block the waterway would provoke a direct military response, while Washington insisted that freedom of navigation had become a non-negotiable condition for any future agreement. Meanwhile, Iran rejected accusations that it had intentionally abandoned diplomacy. Tehran maintained that it remained committed to political dialogue, provided that the United States respected its obligations under the memorandum. The military escalation quickly followed. The United States carried out retaliatory strikes after attacks on commercial shipping, while Iran responded with further military action. Although U.S. President Donald Trump declared that the ceasefire framework was effectively over, he simultaneously confirmed that diplomatic negotiations would continue, reflecting Washington's strategy of combining military pressure with political engagement.
Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. You're still watching Nile Oracle with Ambassador Medhat Meligy, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. So, Mr. Ambassador, before the break, I was asking the question to you, dear sir, about the contrast or the divergence between the fact that both sides, I'm talking about the Americans and the Iranians, they are tired, they're fed up, they've both lost, they want this to end, but both sides at the same time, it's very important for them to come out as the so-called winners, if there are winners at all. So, which side of the equation will prevail over the other?
Well, let me tell you something. Because we spoke, if you remember at the beginning of the show, we spoke about the relativity of the events. I mean, we talked about 17 dead in Iran after 150 raid. Imagine that we have 17 Americans that were killed. It will be a disaster.
It will be full-scale war again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Worse than the first 39
not just that,
days.
the impact of this number. I mean, we are talking about 1 or 2 injured sometimes, and this is it, and maybe a couple of lost, and that's it. So the idea is relative. When we are talking about hundreds who have been killed in one bomb in Gaza, it's 500 persons who lost their lives, but it's relative. And that's what I want to say, that Iran is in a better place when it comes to being able to sustain this hardship, but not for long. And the United States is not capable of losing any personnel. The idea of losing just one person can ignite the whole internal scene inside the United States. And this is why the relativity is very important. Who can sustain it more? Who can take it more? Iran thinks that its resilience is going to pay off and that the President of the United States is going to abide by their conditions. But this time I think it's a little bit different. He has to come up with any kind of victory to sell it to his own people that he managed to do something. And Iran has to help him in this, even under the table. They have to help him or he will not stop. And accordingly, as you mentioned, everybody is going to lose. So having said that, I think that we have to play one more role. And here is something that I'm going to get out a little bit, but it's in the same direction. Please. We have to start building a new negotiation platform. And I think that the best 2 countries, and I want to be specific here, that can play this role are the combined efforts of Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Why do I mention this? Because first of all, Saudi Arabia is the country that is the most powerful country in the Gulf area. Second, we've seen Saudi Arabia, although it has been hit by Iran, but they sent a high-level delegation to the funeral of the Supreme Guide, Mr.
Ali Khamenei.
Ali Khamenei. So the Saudi Arabia is trying to be pragmatic and play the game as it should be played and forget about the losses that it sustained during the war and look forward to tomorrow. So this is number 1. Number 2 is that Egypt, with all its expertise in the negotiation and this strategic equilibrium, that the new terminology that we are using in Egypt about being in a place where everybody trusts us, so we can play this role, even although we have some symbolic forces in some Arab states to defend them against the Iranian hit. But even Iran itself said it understands why Egypt is helping its brothers and sisters in the Gulf. So even Iran understands this. So Egypt is the best place. We have good relations with the United States. We have good relations, of course, with the Gulf countries. We have good relations with Iran, between brackets, and even with Israel we have a way to communicate. So we are the best country that is playing diplomacy thanks to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who always kept the balance between all the parties. On the other hand, we have Saudi Arabia, who is a leader in the Muslim world, who is one of the major energy player of the world, and it has a leadership that is trying also to be balanced and to calm things down. They don't want to get involved in high stakes that could put the economy of the region in jeopardy. So I believe that if we can really work a coalition between Egypt and Saudi Arabia in order to try to find a way to this war between Iran and the United States, I think that we can reach something. But we have to craft it very quickly, because I am not sure of the capacity of both parties to keep this war in control as they are hoping for. Sometimes out of one incident, and we have an open war before us. We don't want this. So we have to react quickly. Of course, there is the regular mediator, Pakistan, Qatar.
It has done a great job. Pakistan has done a great job.
Definitely.
And I'm sure, Mr. Ambassador, when you're calling for a bigger role for Cairo or Riyadh, you're not taking anything away from Islamabad, which is really spearheaded a very successful
But maybe we can have
path.
better ideas. Maybe we are in a better place today to play this role than
And in all
Pakistan when it
cases,
had the
I guess, Mr.
opportunity.
Ambassador, to have a deal, a comprehensive deal, it will have to take into account the security concerns of the Arab Gulf countries.
Definitely.
So if you want to do that, you have Riyadh will be there and Cairo will be there.
Exactly. So I think that this is, I don't know if anyone spoke about this before or not, but I think that this is the best equation for the time being that we can play. Because, I mean, Pakistan, I mean, make no mistake, Pakistan have played a wonderful role, and we reached the agreement and they both signed the agreement. And I think that it sustained for a certain period of time. Except that there is this hidden player who keeps sabotaging everything. From day one, if you remember, the second day of the signature of the accord between Iran and the United States, Israel hit south of Lebanon all the way up to almost Beirut.
Right.
And they insisted on doing so to show that I do not care about what you signed. I am still going after Hezbollah, who doesn't represent a real threat, actually. We all know that. But still, its mere presence represent a good alibi for Israel to continue its raids on Lebanon, and most importantly, to annex more land. This is Israel cake. I mean, this is what they always do. And I have to, once again, and they say it on every time I'm on TV, Israel is the only country in the world who doesn't want to define its borders. Why? Because it wants to keep annexing more and more land from neighboring countries. President Trump, even before reaching the Oval Office, he said it. Israel is so tiny, I don't know what can I do to help it to expand. These are the exact words of President Trump. So he wouldn't mind that Israel would take 20, 25, 30% of Lebanese lands to secure the northern parts of Israel.
Although publicly what is being said is otherwise, and diplomatically, yeah.
But I mean, there are ways to do if you are against this, is to put sanctions on. I mean, it hits me very hard when I remember, and I'm giving just a simple example that doesn't have to do anything directly with that, but it shows exactly the vision. 4 days after the invasion of Ukraine, Russia was banned from the Olympics, Russia was banned from the World Cup, Russia was banned from any international sport. 4 days after the invasion. 2.5 years, and we are still debating if Israel is in self-defense or not, although the massacres and the war crimes that they committed, including the summon of the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister of Israel.
But Egypt's coach Hussein Hassan, and shout out to Hussein, I think he slapped Israel in the face at the World Cup when he talked about Palestine, when he talked about Gaza, when he talked about the children. When he said, you know, to the world media, you know what, the children in Gaza, they love you. They love the footballers, they wear your T-shirts, they share your same hobbies and your same goals and dreams, but you don't love them.
This is true. I think Captain Hussam, when he did what he did, he was driven by his sense as a human, as an Egyptian, who, I mean, we lived all our life thinking about the Palestinian issue, and especially after the last genocide that took place in Gaza, we are all more and more sentimental with anything that happens in Palestine. I mean, to see people who doesn't have a home, doesn't have even a tent sometimes, and they manage just to have a screen so they could watch the Egyptian team and how they cheered the Egyptian team. I mean, this is I think this is the miracle of the Arab people. This is how strong we are. This is how strong our convictions are. And this is what is driving our enemies crazy, because they usually would have run away and left all this and tried to seek a better life somewhere else, but not us. I mean, we stick to our lands, we stick to our principles,
Absolutely.
and we are staying.
Mr. Ambassador, you mentioned what you believe should be a bigger role for Cairo and Riyadh in the upcoming period in mediating between Washington and Tehran. What about Beijing and Moscow? They've been relatively absent from day one, relatively. So if they get involved, I mean, will they get involved? Should they get involved? What difference can they make, those two big capitals, those two allies, supposedly, of Tehran?
They're ally, but they are ally within what we know about the international relations between countries, the decent one. I mean, the idea is that we have this vision and idea always in our mind when we are thinking about the relations between Israel and the United States. And we are hoping for a relation for the Arab issues, that we will have a superpower that will sustain our issues just like the United States is supporting Israel. This will never happen. Iran, of course, is playing its utmost, having in mind one consideration, which is that, I'm talking here not just China, but China, India, South Korea, Japan. Those four countries get around 75 to 80%
from Hormuz, the energy from Hormuz.
Exactly. And this is what they care about. It's their chain of...
the lifeline.
Exactly.
For the economy.
And that's what they are going to do. They are going to help only within this, provided that they don't reach a confrontational point with the United States. Nobody wants to reach that, especially at this time where we can have very controversial decisions. We can have snap. I mean, the idea of Denmark, that we thought it ended with Greenland, is not over yet. President Trump reopened the subject just 2 days ago. So we have to be careful.
Oh, stay tuned.
I understand.
Stay tuned. We'll still have a lot to cover here. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. It's always a greght pleasure. Ambassador Medhat Meligy, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. It's been a delight being with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, and congratulations on the Nile Oracle show.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. We'll be talking economy. We'll be talking the effect of the relative closure of the Strait of Hormuz on the regional and global economy with a dear distinguished guest right after we watch this report about the Strait of Hormuz, and we're posing a question. All right, so no report. Let's take a break. Let's take a break, and we'll be back and Q&A session with a dear distinguished guest with us here in the studio. Hormuz and its effect on the regional and global economy.